Hey everybody, welcome back to another Fly Tying Tuesday here at AvidMax. My name is Taylor, and today we are going to be tying up the Muudah Puudah. This is a fulling mill fly, so commercially available, but if you don't want to buy flies, I strongly recommend tying this one up. It's a really good generalist pattern. It doesn't really imitate anything specifically, but does a great job of imitating a bunch of different stuff. It is a dry fly that floats super well. You can hang droppers off of this without really having to worry about it sinking down. You can tie it in a bunch of different color varieties. So I have this black one in the vise, but I think I'm gonna get a little crazy with the one that we'll tie up and see if it works. So with that being said, we will jump right into it. So to start out, I am using a Kona BC4 in a size 14. Any Klink hammer hook will work, but as you see, I'm kind of putting it in the vise a little bit off kilter. So hook eye kind of pointed down, and we'll tie in our thread on this little hump. But you can tie this fly in a crazy amount of sizes. I think anywhere between a 16 up to, gosh, an 8, a 6. I've seen some big ones. But to start out for thread, I'm using 70 denier UTC tan. I like a ropey thread. You can get away with maybe a 140 denier even. I just like a thin thread so I don't crowd the head when it comes to finishing this fly off. So we'll dress our hook shank all the way down or fairly far down into the bend. The one downside about using a small thread is it takes a little bit. But from here, we are going to tie in our body. So traditionally, this fly uses a mylar tinsel as kind of a ribbing effect. For this particular one, I'm not going to use it, but I think on the one I had in there previously, I did have that body. So completely up to you. Traditionally, it has that tinsel ribbing. I'm gonna omit it for this one. But what I do like about this fly is generally there is a hot spot on the body, on the butt end of the body. So for that, I'm going to take just any sort of dubbing I like. So right now I'm using some Wapsi ice dub, Wapsi super bright dub, my apologies, super bright dub. I'm going to tie in a dubbing noodle, and we're going to keep this one real small. So I'm almost going to go for like, ooh, kind of a egg-laying caddisy look. So really bright butt end here. This dubbing is kind of fibery, which I like. So we'll start there. And then we will put in our second color here. And for that, I'm using some fulling mill Euro Nymph body dub in medium olive. And for this stuff, I do want to dress my thread with some dubbing wax just to help this stuff stick. But this is a super buggy body material. I use it a lot for nymphs bodies, which is kind of what it's made for, but we're gonna give this the old college try for a body. So get it situated, spin it into as tight of a dubbing noodle as we can get. And we are going to wrap up to about the bend, or the top bend in the hook. So kind of where I have it peeked out here. So I'll just start wrapping forward. Oof, I have a lot here. Let me start over, get closer to the butt end of this fly. Alright, so about there. So we're going to pull out all of that extra dubbing, throw it to the side, And wrap that home. All right, so as you can see, it's got a really buggy body, which is kind of what I'm going for here, just to try this one out. So after we are done with the body, we are going to lay in the start of the wings. So a couple different components to this. I like to use a little bit of EP fiber in a lighter color. I don't like the white, but maybe like a cream or a light gray. I can't remember the exact names of all the colors, but I like just a teeny tiny little pinch of it, like that, just as an accent. Really kind of makes that wing case pop a little bit. So from there, we'll tie in, and I want that to come up to just behind the body. So not all the way, oh, sorry, my thumb's kind of blocking a little bit. So I don't want it to extend past the hook at all. So if anything, I'll come in here and kind of trim that up, make it look flat. This EP fiber is crazy. Get a couple more locking thread wraps and trim off our excess. Throw that away. And then we will come in with the main wing, which is going to be elk hair or deer body hair. I like elk hair because I think it floats a little better, but it's a little harder to get elk hair in colors. So as you see in the one I tied up earlier, this one, oh, pardon the shaky fingers, has black body hair. If I'm tying this in an olive, I'll try to use green body hair. If I'm tying it in a yellow, more yellow one than what we're doing, I'll try to use a yellow body hair. But for this one, I'm just going to use plain bleach white elk hair. This stuff is from Nature Spirit. So same thing, I want it to just lay right on top of that EP fiber. And we're going to wrap that in. Careful to pull tight, but not too tight. And then we're going to like half wrap this in, pull some fibers back, lock a couple in, just like that. So kind of space those thread wrappings out. Yeah, like that, good deal. We will trim off our ends, come back through and give it a few more thread wraps. So now we are going to put in the foam. The foam body, foam topper, foam wing. I'm not really sure what to call it. I guess not a body, foam wing. And for that, I'm going to use yellow. I think that'll make this guy pop. Also super visible. And you know, some grasshoppers out there are yellow, which is kind of what I'm trying to make this one imitate. So for there, I've taken a sheet of 2mm foam in yellow, and I have cut it into a rectangle. You can either do it by hand, or you can use these little body cutters. A Chernobyl body cutter work really, really well for this one. I think this was a small size. I think somewhere around a 14 size body cutter. And then I just take the tips of my scissors and cut a little notch in it like that to mimic the actual pattern. So I'm going to lay my foam on top of that wing material or elk hair and just kind of gauge it out. Same thing, I don't want that foam to extend super far back. So I want it to line up with the elk hair. And then I'm just gonna make a mental note of where I want that foam to sit. So see if I can come around on the front side of this. So I don't want to poke a hole like right at the hook eye. I want it to come back just in this little empty space that we have right behind the hook eye. Ooh, right there. Right there. So, good deal, we're right on top. And what I'm gonna do is just poke a little hole with my scissors. That way I can slide the foam over the hook eye just like that. And pull the body back. And from here, we are going to lay the vise sideways if you have a rotary one. You can do it without, it's just a little more tricky. And normally I trim the bottom of the foam at this point. So I want the bottom of the foam to come just to where my dubbing body ends. So I'm gonna give it a good little chop here. And you can always come back and trim it after you tie it in, because it is a little hard to get this to fold. But so to tie this flat, like I said, we're gonna bend, or we're gonna rotate the vise sideways because I think it's a little easier. This is why you don't trim it too short right off the bat. We're just gonna slowly wrap it and slowly pull tight from the side. And that helps you pinch it down and you're not distorting the foam too much. Good deal. And kind of manipulate it to sit where you want it to sit. If anything, I can even bring it back just a little more. Yeah, like that. And then it's really easy to get corners sucked in. Like I said, we can come through and trim it how we want when it's all said and done. So, good deal. When you're happy with where the foam is sitting, if I can get it to not rotate, we are going to lock this baby down with some thread wraps. And then we will come through with some super glue to make sure everything's locked into place. So now from here we can tie in the legs. For that I'm using, what am I using? Some Hareline silly legs in a green and brown pattern. So I'm just gonna hold it on the far side, catch it with a turn of thread, 2 turns. And again, we can always trim these to whatever length we want. We're gonna come around on the back side and I'm going to catch it with another turn and then manipulate where you want them to sit before you lock these bad boys down one more time. All right, and then the last thing we're going to add is some Sparkle or Merger yarn in orange, just as a high-vis little eye catcher. With the yellow foam, you can see it pretty well already, but if you're tying this in tan, black, or even olive, it does kind of tend to blend in. So we'll grab just a piece of that. Give that a locking thread wrap or two. And then I like to trim this stuff so it's not super bright and super noticeable to the fish. Trim right there. And about the same on the front. All right, from here I'll come in with my whip finisher. Throw in a whip finish. Cut out my thread, and now I'm gonna trim the legs. So the legs I want to be about the body length as well. It's okay to be a little bit longer if you really wanted. We'll cut that front one, and then the front ones I like to leave a little bit shorter than the back, so we'll trim these to maybe half the length. Perfect. And then we will come in with our glue, our head cement, whatever we want to use. Let me fix that foam on the bottom a little bit. I guess you could use solar res if you wanted, which I actually might do here, just because it's a little easier to apply. Solar res on the bottom. Solar res on top. And we'll come in and fry that. So it all locks down. But that is the finished Muudah Puudah. Like I said, a super, super good dry fly. I love to fish at this time of year, especially hoppers. I think as of filming this, it's the beginning of September. So still plenty of hoppers out. But like I said, in black, it imitates a beetle. In tan, it could mimic like a stimulator, a bigger like moth dry fly. Just a super versatile bug. So go ahead, give this one a try. As always, you can find the materials at avidmax.com. Go ahead and like and subscribe the video if you liked this bug, and we'll see you on the next one.